Imagine walking your dog through the serene, windswept dunes of Upton Towans, only to discover that this tranquil landscape once played a crucial role in saving lives during World War II. I'm Pete. Welcome to the hidden history of Operation Starfish, where controlled fires and clever deceptions turned this quiet corner of Cornwall into a wartime hero. Now, Upton Towans was home to the National Explosives Works from the year 1988 to 1920 and was heavily involved in the making of munitions for the troops, both the Army and the Royal Navy, in the First World War, a subject, by the way, for a later video. However, by the time World War II came along, the site had been abandoned for some 20 years and was just a vast expanse of sandy dunes and grass. So how could this site be of use to the war effort in 1940? Well, close by is the town of Hale, which despite being only small was a target for nighttime bombings by the Luftwaffe. Hale was at risk due to its critical infrastructure, including Cornwall's only power station, the Ocktail Works, engineering and boat building facilities, the harbour and the railway. To protect these assets, it was decided that Upton Towans be chosen as a site for Operation Starfish, and the SF-68A Decoy site was built in May 1942.
So, what was Operation Starfish? Operation Starfish was a clever British strategy during World War II designed to deceive German bombs. And involved creating fake fires in unpopulated countryside areas to mimic the effects of bombed towns and cities, thereby diverting enemy attacks away from the real targets. This strategy was in use from late 1940 to 1945.
This is the mark of the Hun on Britain.
The fighting services are trained to carry on with their ordinary duties while wearing respirators. So take a tip from them. Get on good terms with your gas mask.
The term Starfish stands for Special Fire, and these decoy sites were developed to prevent the extensive damage seen in Coventry after the Mundesscheinsata raid on November the 14th and 15th, 1940. These dummy towns were strategically placed far from actual communities and likely targets. When the first wave of German bombs hit a real target, emergency services would quickly pull out the fires and then light decoy fires. This tactic aimed to trick the second wave of bombers into believing that a decoy site was the actual target, causing them to drop their bombs there instead. The idea was developed by Colonel John Turner, a respected engineer and retired officer from the Air Ministry. The technique involved using tanks filled with paraffin or diesel fuel, placed atop 20-foot towers, arranged to resemble buildings or industrial areas. When activated, the fuel was released onto burning coal, creating an instant blaze and dense black smoke. This fire was then doused with water to produce a column of steam simulating the aftermath of a bombing raid. These dummy sites played a crucial role in protecting cities, transportation hubs and industrial facilities, approximately 230 fake airfields and 400 fake urban and industrial sites, as well as dummy railway marshalling yards and docks, were created during the war. By the end of the conflict, there were some 237 Starfish sites protecting 81 cities, factories and other potential targets. Official records show that 730 bombing raids were successfully diverted to these dummy targets.
So what made me curious that something had happened here at all? Well, I was walking the area with my dog when I noticed a strange shelter type construction that is clearly a lot newer than the rest of the dilapidated explosive company buildings, which, as you can see from this footage, have just been left to rot. They're over 100 years old now. So it was within this research that I discovered that the Towans had indeed been one of 237 Operation Starfish sites around the UK. So it turns out that this particular structure served as a control bunker for the Decoy site. It was strategically built to provide a vantage point for monitoring and managing the decoy fires. Inside, the decoy crew would build a shelter from the rain, and they would have had a makeshift operations room where they could control the lighting of the fires to simulate the bombed urban areas. The thick concrete walls offered protection for the personnel and for their equipment. The Starfish sites employed various techniques to create realistic decoys. Fires were carefully arranged to mimic the pattern of bombed cities, and as you can see from this footage here, this would have been the areas that the fires were lit. It's assumed that some sort of fireproof metal containers would have been bolted to these bases. As you can see, the big rusty bolts coming out of the ground. Special pyrotechnic devices were sometimes used to simulate the explosions and the glow of incendiary bombs. And additionally, fake structures and even wooden frameworks in some cases were built to enhance the illusion. The photograph currently on screen is the only one I could find showing an actual shot from the Upton Towans location. Now, while researching this subject, I've come across some data stating that this building here on the other side of the Towans was in fact the control room for Operation Starfish. It does look very much more like an operation room than the original shelter that I found. However, it is some considerable distance away from where the fires would have been lit. So here I've plotted the area on an aerial map. So just here at the bottom here is the first one I found, we'll call that control room 1. And right over here is the second one, control room 2.
Now you can see that the distance between the two is quite a way. It's actually 1.25 kilometres. So here's the car park, as you can see, very close to control room 2. Pros and cons of both. Well, control room 2 is very close to the car park for equipment, etc. It also looks very much more like a control room. The cons to that one, of course, are the 1.25 kilometre trek across the undulating terrain to get to the far sites. Control room 1 is a lot closer to the sites and would therefore make more sense, but doesn't look like a control room. My personal opinion is that control room 2 was the main control room over by the car park, and I think that control room 1 was probably used as a shelter or similar for equipment and for the men whilst monitoring and lighting and monitoring the fires. So discovering this history has given me a new appreciation for Upton Towans. Every walk through these hills and valleys feels like a journey back in time. It's incredible to think about the bravery and ingenuity that went into protecting our home during the war. So the next time you walk through Upton Towans, remember the vital role it played in our history. The hills and valleys you see today are remnants of bomb craters from those Decoy fires. Thanks for joining me on this journey through time, and don't forget to like, comment and subscribe for more fascinating local stories. If you are local, or if you're due to visit us on holiday soon, why not take a break from the usual holiday activities and come and visit Upton Towans and explore this historic site yourself.